Do you have a goal to invest in passive cash flow real estate deals? There are a number of different ways that you can invest in passive cash flow, but one of the ones that I think is really intriguing and one where I started was investing in friends and family real estate investments. And so your first question may be, well, what's a passive cash flow real estate investing deal? And that's really where you're investing, where you don't have to be that involved in the transaction. You invest in a deal, you source a deal through another sponsor. And then if it meets your metrics, if it meets your investment thesis, then you work with that sponsor who does the majority of the work. They coordinate all the aspects of the acquisition, of the financing, of the operations of the real estate, the management of the real estate, and then they ultimately decide when to sell the asset. But you'll know ahead of time what type of plan they're looking at, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 7-year plan. And then you make the decision that that is an asset type that you want to invest in a location that you want to invest in, with a sponsor that you want to invest in. And then as long as the deal and the metrics meet your requirements, then you make that investment, and that's passive. So what are friends and family deals? Well, as the name implies, it's pretty similar, except you are investing with people who you know, who you like, and you trust. And so these sponsors are people that may be from your background, or they may be family members. They may be colleagues or ex-colleagues who are in the real estate industry, or they may be contacts that you have who are in a real estate investment company where you can co-invest with them. And similar to a passive real estate deal, you make the choice to invest in their deal. And then they manage the acquisition, the financing, the operations of the asset, and they ultimately decide when you should be selling the asset. So what does a sponsor do? So the sponsors act as general partners in a deal, or they'll act as managing members of the asset. And they organize that acquisition of the property. So they'll source the deal and then they close the acquisition. They arrange financing for the property. They source the equity. So they gather all their friends and family and have them co-invest in the deal. But then what they do is the entity that you're investing in takes title to that property. And then they coordinate all aspects of that property. They arrange all the vendors that are going to be in there. They arrange the management of the property. They decide on the timing of the disposition. And the sponsor also distributes cash flow to all the different investors. They also handle all of the tax returns and the accounting related to the property. And so they will arrange so you can get your K1, which is the tax document that you will receive from a sponsor every year that shows your distributions, any withholdings, anything else that may have happened on the property. And then you can put that into your personal tax documents at the end of the year. Now, friends and family deals are attractive in my opinion, because what I found is that most of my friends and family have an interest in investing in real estate. They don't always want to have the direct responsibility of taking ownership of that asset. They don't want to have to deal with unclogging a toilet. They don't want to deal with management calls about how to fix a roof. And so they invest with professional investors like myself or with other sponsors who understand the business of real estate, who do it on a daily basis. And so when I talk to my friends and family, it's, a lot of people want to pick your brain. They want to ask advice. They want to say, what should we do? What should we buy? And most people are thinking solely of investing in a deal on their own, 100%, buying a second house, buying a vacation property. And while I think that's great, it's a great diversification strategy. Another way to invest is to invest with sponsors where you get to leverage your equity. So instead of buying a $1 million property, you may be able to buy into a $30 million property. And that sponsor will go place the debt and they'll put in 20 million of debt and they'll raise 10 million to acquire that $30 million property. And now all of a sudden you become an equity holder in 10 million of equity rather than just having $1 million piece. And then that way, if you have $1 million that you want to spend, you can spend that money over a certain amount of deals rather than investing all of your eggs in one basket in that one investment property. And so I'm a big believer in taking these chunks of deals. So I own property 100% on my own. But I also own a lot of deals where I might have 25,000 invested, 100,000 invested, a couple 100,000 invested, and then that builds up over time to a place where you have cash flow coming in from multiple sources. You have an apartment complex in Missouri. You have an office building in Atlanta. You have a life science building down in San Diego. And then you get all of this cash flow coming in from different locations, and you have a connection with the person that you were investing with because it is a friends and family deal. And so it doesn't mean you always know the person real well, but it does mean that you have some connection. I have a number of investors who I've invested with, or that who have invested with me. I have a number of investors who have invested with me who were an introduction from someone. And so they've become friends over time, but they were a friend of a friend of a friend, or they were a friend of a friend. And so that connection becomes tighter. And then another thing that happens is you'll be sitting at a barbecue and you'll just be chatting with someone and you'll be having small talk. And then the next thing you know, you start talking about your real estate deal that you have in common. So it adds another level. It adds another dimension to your relationship. Now it's not just a communal relationship where you're just buddies that are talking about what happened with the local sports game. But now you're talking about, hey, we have a co-investment together. We make money together. And that's fun. It's a lot of fun to be making money with your friends and family. And so that is a huge benefit in my opinion of doing a friends and family deal. It's one of my favorites, actually. And, one of the things that we find is that people really like investing with people who they know, they like, and they trust. It really is human nature. It feels good to have that connection with people that you co-invest with. It feels good to get on a call with someone. It feels good to go have a lunch with somebody and just be chatting about, their life, what they're doing, and then also, work in the deal. And so then you're talking about the deal that you're co-invested with. You talk about what other types of transactions you might be looking at. What other types of things are they looking at and who are they investing with? You find that there's a lot of intermingling among friends and family deals. I know I have a number of investors who also co-invest with my mentors. And so that's been an interesting conversation where they say, oh, I know you're in this deal with this guy, and I know you're in this deal with this guy. And hey, I'm in that deal too. Did you know that? And so then you have another way to look at the transaction. So I think friends and family deals are beautiful. Not only do you have a sponsor who you know, like, and trust, but you also have a way to build even further connection. And then you get to earn passive cash flow and grow your net worth without having to do all of the day-to-day management. You can have the person who's responsible for that, the sponsor, the person who enjoys doing that part of the work. You can have them handle all of that. You can have them handle all of the aspects related to the real estate, and then you can have your passive cash flow while growing your net worth and diversifying and leveraging your equity at the same time. So on that note, I hope you like this video. Please feel free to like it, share it, and also subscribe to our various channels on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. And we'll be happy to bring more content to you, providing an educational nature related to passive real estate investing. Thanks so much for your time.